Hey guys, it's Mark Rigsby with MDR Photo coming at you today because this past weekend I did something really cool. I got to play around with $20,000 in photography equipment. We're talking cameras and lenses. I got to pit my beloved Fujifilm GFX 50s up against the Canon 5Ds, which is a beast of a full-frame DSLR, and the Hasselblad X1D, which is their compact, mirrorless, medium format camera. And you know what? I had a blast doing it, but which one came out on top? I don't know, but as they say in the Highlander, there can be only one.
Hey, pretty baby,
We are in east end of downtown Houston over here at what used to be the Meridian, what we call Graffiti Park now, and we are going to be doing a nice comparison of versus of 3 different cameras, 1 full frame, 2 medium formats. We're going to be doing the GFX 50s, the Hasselblad H1D, and the Canon 5Ds. Okay, here's Julio Gatto. He is the proud owner of the Hasselblad X1D, and he's also got in his hand the Canon, was that 5DS?
5DS.
Okay, how much does that run you about?
About 7,000 for the body.
Okay, and what about the lens? Which lens you got on there right now?
This is the 90mm. It's another $3,000.
Our model for today, this is Tomathan. Say hi, Tomathan.
Hi, Tomathan.
This is what I'm working with. So tell us some of your social media stuff.
Let's see, you can find me on Instagram. I am Tomathan. That's I-A-M-T-O-M-A-T-H-A-N. Facebook, Tomathan McGinnis, M-C-G-I-N-N-I-S. Actor, model, all-American talent.
So how long have you been an actor, model, and an all-American talent?
You know what? All of my life, every day is a different act. You know, you have to put on for something every day. So whether it's your natural face or it's another version of you, you know. So I feel like every day of my life I've been acting. But professionally, getting paid for it, going on 2 years now.
Awesome. Hey guys, we're having a good time out here. So we have decided to go with the GFX with the Sigma Art 85mm 1.4. We're putting that lens on everything, including the 5DS. This is what I deal with, people. Look at this man. He looks almost like tough like that, doesn't he? Look at him. He's got his head turned back with all black.
Well, it's because, you know, the camera, when you try to shoot it,
don't be afraid, won't let you fall, girl.
Check.
No, I gotta tie him
preface this by saying this is not a technical review. This is basically how I felt shooting these in a real world situation. Okay, so first off, I'm going to talk about the body of these cameras. I'll start out with the GFX because that's the one I am most familiar with because it's what I've been using for almost the past year. The GFX is a thick body, and it's thick because it's got this articulating screen on it. Of the 3 cameras, this is the only one that had an articulating screen, and it is a beauty of an articulating screen because you can do portrait and you can do a landscape mode, and that's just fantastic. It is a wonderful, wonderful piece of equipment, and if I want to make it smaller, I can take off the viewfinder, and if I want to put it back to stock, I put it like this, because this is how it comes with the viewfinder on it that you can take off, but you can also get this and put this in here like this, and then you got this really cool viewfinder. It allows me to do this kind of stuff, you know, so I can sit there like this. Fantastic. The body on this is nice and solid, very comfortable in the hands. It doesn't feel bulky, and it doesn't feel too big. It is a really, really comfortable camera. The 5DS is like any other 5. It's obviously a 5 series because about 3 years ago I sold my 5D Mark III. I had that one since the day they released the 5D Mark III. When I sold it, I didn't miss the 5D, but when I picked up that 5DS, it was like going home to an old friend. I had done so much on the 5D Mark III that when I picked it up, it felt the same. The familiarity was there. When you pick up a Canon camera, you know you're picking up the Canon camera because it's the exact same thing as the 5D Mark III, and I like that because I picked up that camera and I was flipping through it like I hadn't missed a beat. You know, it was like getting on your favorite bike and riding it the same way you did when you were a kid. It uses that familiarity to keep their people into their ecosystem, and that's fantastic because it was very easy to pick that camera up and shoot with it and feel comfortable with it and know that what it has to offer. You know, that's exactly what it is. Now, the X1D, whole nother level. It is a work of art. It is gorgeous. It just is beautiful. It is straight lines, gorgeous, shiny silver body, incredible LCD on the back. That screen is beautiful. It's a touchscreen. It's nice and big, takes up most of the body, just fantastic. Bright. It is like a it is the Rolls Royce of cameras. I felt like when I was holding that in my hands, it was like I was elevated to a whole new status level. It's like people were walking by going, oh, that dude's rich, you know, that kind of thing. It was just a fantastic camera. It looks elegance. Not looks like it's elegant. It doesn't look elegant. It looks elegance. That's how beautiful that camera is. So when it comes to body style and body looks, it is up here. The other two are down here. Now, don't get me wrong. I love this body, but it is a functional body. It's not a body made for looks. And that X1D is an eye catcher all the way. Now, you know what they say about looks though? Looks aren't everything. And that is when we come to functionality. Okay, so let me talk about the GFX first. GFX I've been using for almost a year. I opened this up the first day back in April last year, and it took me less than 2 minutes to figure out how to shoot, how to get things going, because everything is right here. Everything's accessible, everything is very easy, and it just works. Same thing with the Canon. If you ever used a Canon, all the buttons were the same, all the functionality was the same. Now people talk about how Canon doesn't do any innovation, and that's fine because they're using familiarity to keep people inside their ecosystem, and that's what they did here. And it was fantastic because I picked it up and I was moving focus points, I was setting my shutter speed, everything, aperture, whatever, really easy. And that was fantastic. The X1D was frustrating. The first thing that got me was the fact that the shutter button. I push the shutter button just as hard. Like this shutter button has no movement whatsoever. You push it down, it takes a picture. Push it down, you take a picture. Same thing with the Canon. I would push down the X1D and nothing would happen. And I kept asking him what was going on. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I'd push it down and nothing would happen. And then one time I said, I wonder what if I just pushed it down as hard as I could. So I pushed it down really hard, click, took a picture. So I did it again, click, took a picture. So the shutter button had to have this extra amount of force, I guess it is, to get it all the way down to get a shot. I don't know if it was that particular camera or whether it was just a setting that Julio had on there. Don't get me wrong, Julio loves his X1D. He loves the size, he loves the image quality, he loves everything about it, but I didn't, because that touchscreen, while beautiful, while a gorgeous piece of equipment, I hit it too many times with my finger, nose, whatever, and I would change settings and I couldn't figure out how to put settings back. I don't know if it's just me, but it's not an intuitive system. It's not an intuitive setup in there, you know? It's set up for simplicity, but it was anything but simple. The other two cameras I could roll through in a heartbeat, even when I first got them. But this one, I just couldn't get it figured out. I couldn't get it to work. If I had walked into a store to buy that camera, specifically to buy that camera, and I had the same problems that I had with this one, there's no way I would have bought it. Turned around, walked right out, and never thought about it again. Because it was so frustrating to get certain things happening. Once I put that pressure on, which is not intuitive, which is not something that is natural to me, because so little travel on this one that it just wasn't something that, it seems like it would be something that's a mechanical issue, but I don't know, because I didn't delve that far into the camera, just couldn't get it to work the way I wanted. And I know there are going to be Hasselblad people that come on here and say, ah, you're wrong, you're just a Fuji fanboy. I'm not. If it was better, I would have sold my Fuji and got a Hasselblad, period. I have no problem. If it's something that would benefit my business, because, you know, I don't care what brand it is, it doesn't have the functionality. So I have no problem moving brands if I need to. The other thing about this camera is Hasselblads are leaf shutter lenses, so the shutter's in the lens. And so you can't use off-camera flash with an adapted lens because you don't have a shutter for it. Once you adapt a lens, you have to go straight to electronic shutter on the X1D. And so when you take a picture, it's like, it doesn't even make a sound, just phew. And I can put this on electric shutter too, but I don't need to because the shutter's inside the body. But that's also part of the reason why it's such a small camera. Oh, that was the other thing. Even with its own native lenses, the shutter sound of the leaf shutters, it's like click, 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 click. I mean, it's not a big hefty, I mean, 645Z had that, you know? But it felt clunky to me. Everything about the controls of the X1D felt clunky. While the Canons are refined over a generation after generation after generation, and the GFX just works, the X1D felt clunky. And that's, I mean, and that's about as technical as I'm gonna get on that. Now, image quality on these cameras, whoo, we're talking some good looking shots here. Okay, first let me tell you about the lenses we did. First off, we used the Sigma 85 1.4 Art. Now that, whoo, that lens is beautiful. I was surprised. I've used their Art series before, the 50, the 35, all those. I really want to try their 135. I haven't gotten a chance on that yet. And I used their old 85 1.4, which came out right before the Sigma Art lines started, and it, man, I was just floored at how nice that 1.4 at 1.4 was. Now, with that lens, there's a bit of problems with the GFX because I bought a dummy adapter, so there was no connection going through, so it was just focus. And the problem with that is with those newer lenses, you can't adjust aperture. You have to adjust it on like a Canon body first, then transfer it over, which is fine. So I told him not even to worry about it, just leave it on 1.4 and we'll shoot them all on 1.4, see how it looks wide open. And man, it was fantastic. All three cameras did fantastic wide open at the 185 1.4. The 5DS was a little bit behind, mostly because of the fact that it has a full frame sensor, not a medium format sensor. And to kind of give you an idea, okay, here's a good example. Say you're on a subway train and you got 50 people on a subway train like that, and they're cramped, this little tiny little subway train, and they're all sitting like this, right? Nothing's comfortable, nothing's looking good, everyone's cranky, and that's what happens with these pixels. They get cranky because they're all 50 megapixels, are just putting right like that, side to side, arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder, and they're just not as comfortable in the digital world is the way to put it. When you got the medium format sensor of the X1D and the GFX, you have the same amount of pixels in a bigger area. So you don't quite have that busyness that you'll see. So the image quality on the 5DS wasn't as good when blown up. Now, that's the thing. If I was blowing up to 100%, I could see a difference. It wasn't as clean, it wasn't as nice, because I can blow up the X1D and the GFX up to like 300-400% before you get any kind of degradation. The 5D starts breaking up about 110, not bad at all. It's a very beautiful image, but you're not gonna have as much leeway with the editing and doing other stuff with it and working on like a poor level and stuff like that, which most 99% of the photographers out there do not need. I'll tell you that right now. The 5DS just physically can't get that same kind of detail that deep into the picture. But when not blowing up, it's a beautiful image. The biggest difference between that and the X1D and the GFX is the depth of field. When you're using an 85 on a full frame, it's an 85. When you're using an 85 on a medium format, it's closer to a 70. And here's the key: the size of the sensor also affects the depth of field and the fall off between the in focus areas and the out of focus areas. So you get this smoother fall off, so you have this different look. And both the X1D and the GFX had that. And you get it even more when you get up to the 100 megapixels, like the phase 1 and all that stuff. And you'll get that look even more then. And you could see that. Now, that's both a blessing and a burden, because you have the situation where if you get it too thin of depth of field, you're going to have things out of focus that you don't want out of focus. But either way, all three cameras have incredible image quality. If you want to get great 50 megapixel images, the 5DS is fantastic. The other thing you got to understand is when we were putting that 85 on this camera, it was a 70, but also you're keeping the compression of an 85. Because it's a 70 field of view, but with the compression of an 85. So you're getting really cool images. I mean, you just get this really nice bokeh out of these cameras. This is fantastic. So the 85 was kind of stole the show on everything. It's a fantastic lens. I love that lens. But then we started using the native lenses, and the native lenses are fantastic. The only thing I didn't like was the Hasselblad's 90mm, which is about a 73, is a 3.2 aperture, and so you don't get the same depth of field, while my 110 is an f2, so you get really shallow depth of field, which is really nice. And you know, that's the thing, all three of these cameras make an incredible image. You just don't get the same kind of depth you do with the full frame as you do with the medium format. So anyway, I don't want to cut an already long thing short. To cut a long story short, I would rank these in this order. The GFX, because of the functionality, the usability, the articulating screen, the ability to add on stuff like that. The 5DS number 2, because of the familiarity and the fact that Canon just makes things that work. And that 5DS image quality was fantastic. And the X1D. The X1D comes in last because of the problems I had with the functionality. Now, that's not to say that a firmware update can't fix that, or familiarity with it can't fix that, or getting used to everything on it can't fix that. Who knows? If I had that camera for a month, it could very well become my favorite camera ever. So anyway, I know this wasn't a technical review, but I didn't want it to be a technical review. I wanted it to be something about how I use it and how I do things. And I'll tell you right now, I enjoyed all three cameras. It's just that the Hasselblad gave me a little bit more trouble than I wanted. But otherwise, it's a beautiful camera, incredible images. That sensor is just beautiful. And the GFX obviously is something I'm used to. And they're all great cameras. It's just that I like the GFX best, 5D second, and then the Hasselblad. Many people out there are going to say that they like it completely different, and that's fine, and I agree with you that everyone has a different criteria in how they rank things, and I respect that. So anyway, I'm Mark Rigsby with MDR Photo. If you like the video, click like. If you don't like the video, don't be mean. If you love the video, click subscribe, and I hope to see you back here because I've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. Behind the scenes shoots, I've got workshops coming up, I've got more gear reviews, just a whole lot of fun stuff. So anyway, come on back now, you hear? Ooh, I don't know if I should have done that. subscribe.